Today on Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. The team at Wildfire Marine updates a tricked-out Pro line with some very user-friendly modifications.
Did a lot of customized work to it. For somebody for his first boat, he did a lot of pretty cool stuff.
George Labonte joins Dreamboat owner Royce Brooker aboard his completely rebuilt John Ullman.
Royce's ability to transform an idea into a completely custom dive boat that's perfect for his needs should be an inspiration to anyone who might be interested in taking on a resto mod project of their own.
The professionals at Two Rivers Boat Works make headway on the CV390Z project.
We're going to spend every minute we can paying attention to every little detail to make sure this boat is perfect.
And the Twin V is rigged with a brand new trolling motor at Rocky Point Boat Works.
He can get out in the water and get close to the docks and hopefully catch some fish and have a real nice dinner.
All coming up on Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. Join us as we follow one-off builds to all-out restorations in Stuart, Florida's Dreamboat District, home to some of the best custom boat builders in the world. From modest to over-the-top, industry experts from the district's premier facilities show how it's done. Fiberglass repair, custom paintwork, engine rigging, electronics installations, and more. And boating editor George Labonte shares the stories of boaters who have already turned their dreams into reality. This is Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat.
Yeah, here at Wildfire, I had a customer, Rich, call me about a Pro line that he had. It was his first boat and didn't really know what he wanted when he bought it. And then he started modifying things as he went along to suit his liking. He does a lot of diving, and he had a concern about climbing in and out of the boat, where basically he had to step on the back seat, then sit on the top of the transom, which had a pretty good slope to it to get into the water. So he wanted to know if there was any way we could put a bracket on it and put a walk-through so he could go through unobstructed to the transom. We went ahead and agreed on doing the job, and then what we did is we cut that center wall out. I added some structure to the bottom, tied it across the two stringers. It also acted as a support for the floor. And then we built a floor panel that was basically flush with the interior of the boat so he could walk straight through the transom. Then we installed the bracket. Finding the center line on this bracket installation was a little bit different than most. Usually you go from either a hard chine corner or you go from a strake, because it's important to have the bracket mounted perfectly to the bottom of the boat. That's the most important thing. Well, in this particular boat, there was no hard chine. It was a rounded transom corner. So what we had to do is we take a straight edge and we run it parallel with the bottom edge and extend it past the transom. And I take my measurements from that to find the center line. So that way we have a true center line. There's no guessing on it. All in all, I think this was a big improvement in the boat because, like I said, getting in and out of the boat was tough. And by moving this walk-through, he didn't lose any space at all inside the boat because we simply took a piece of the well wall away. He actually gained some space. And accessibility is super now. It's just, you really couldn't get any better than that, the way it's for getting on and off the boat. I mean, you just walk straight through, right over to the ladder, turn around, and step down in the water.
I wanted to increase space, the ease of access, the getting on and off the boat, having the additional space to come up out of the water if you're swimming or diving or spearfishing, and opening up the back of the transom so that you could easily move from the inside of the boat onto the bracket and in and out of the water.
One of his concerns, Rich is a pretty good-sized guy, and he had installed a second bilge pump, and he said it was a real pain in the neck because they only had that 1 8-inch pipe plate to work through. And that's a problem we see with a lot of boats. So I told him about Armstrong's 10 by 20 flat panel, which is made for people to walk on. So we put that in there. Now he can get both arms in there, put his head in there, very easy to work now inside that boat. And that was one thing he was concerned with, and he was really happy the way that turned out.
I think it turned out great. Mike does a great job. He is really he's a craftsman, he's a perfectionist. It's one of the things that I noticed about his work watching the show probably a year, maybe a year and a half ago, and I decided that I wanted him to be the guy to put the bracket on. I knew it would be done right, and it'd be done in a manner in which there'd be no questions about the quality.
You could tell he's put a lot into this boat. Being his first boat, like I said, he just wanted to make sure it was really nice. That's the type of person that he is. And you could see, the color was kind of different for a fishing boat. You don't see too many boats come in that color. He also had the top powder coated, and he designed a lot of the top. Did a lot of customized work to it. For somebody for a first boat, he did a lot of pretty cool stuff. So I think he's really going to like. Obviously, he's going to like it because he's willing to put money into it. He's putting a new motor on the boat now, and I think he's going to enjoy it for a long time.
You know, this is the first boat that I've owned, so I wanted to get into the boating at a reasonable price. So obviously, buying a new boat wasn't something that was going to allow me to have much money, you know, for other things. I just the gas to run it. So this is my start. This is my entry into it. You know, it's my ability to find out how much I like boating. I started off with a low budget investment, and we'll see where it goes.
When we come back, George Labonte joins Dreamboat owner Royce Brooker aboard his completely rebuilt John Ullman in this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment. This segment brought to you by Two Rivers Boat Works. Exceptional design, quality, and craftsmanship.
Dreaming of transforming your boat into the envy of the fleet? The experts at Two Rivers Boat Works are dedicated to customizing your boat to your specific needs and personality. Specializing in fiberglass and composites repair, professional painting, systems installation, and more. Founded by boating enthusiasts, we understand the enjoyment of being on the water, offering exceptional design, craftsmanship, and quality, so you can spend more time on the water than dreaming about it. Visit our facility in Stuart, Florida, and turn your boating dreams into reality.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us for this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment with Florida Sportsman boating editor George Labonte as we feature anglers who have already launched their dream. Florida Sportsman began these features 30 years ago, and the dreams just keep getting better.
A common trait that I see more of all the time is an obsession with boat projects, or the disease, as some people even call it. What I'm referring to is the growing need that many of these craftsmen share to work with their minds and with their hands to bring a forgotten boat back to life. Today, we're back in Stuart, Florida to meet up for a second time with Royce Brooker. Royce is definitely a card-carrying member of this obsession club. In today's episode, Royce is showing off his considerable talent and sharing with us a look at his completely repurposed 1966 23-foot John Ullman.
So originally I had the 15-foot Hobie power skiff that you saw in season 1, but I was looking for something bigger to go offshore, dive with, take my friends out. Something in the 23 to 25-foot range was a good fit. I found the hull down in Miami in Hialeah, $400. I mean, it had trees growing in it, the whole deal. Brought it back, instantly started tearing it apart. I started sawzalling everything out, cut the floor out, cut the bridge off, cut everything off, cut the cap off. Started with the transom was the first thing that I started with, you know, get the boat all trued up and level. Then I started putting the stringers in it, fuel tank, started doing the decks.
Beyond the basic mechanics of decks and the structural work below deck, Royce was faced with the need for parts that would be easy to simply buy and install. However, with a strong handle on the fabrication game, he set out to build from scratch what would clearly become the centerpiece for this whole build, a one-of-a-kind pilot house style console.
So the pilot house is a little bit of a break from the traditional norm of a South Florida boat. You start seeing them on the commercial boats and stuff, and you know, those guys are out on the water all day, every day, you know, and they're trying to get out of the elements, and that's a big part of being on the water. And again, to save money, you know, I didn't want to farm out a bunch of pipe work and isinglass and stuff, so I built the console for myself, by myself. And it's just a game changer, just having that shade and being able to get out of the wind, get out of the spray, still being able to open up the windows on hot days and stay perfectly cool is just, you can't beat it, you can't beat it. The leaning post, I built that from a temporary melamine mold as well. You know, screw a box together of the shape of your desire, clay the corners, lay it up, and you've got a part. With the live well, I found an old water softener tank in the trash on the side of the road. I wet sand and buffed it, polished it out, and I put a flange on it and popped a part off for the actual tub for the live well. So now I've got a perfectly round, smooth live well on the inside, and the baits just love it.
Roy spends most of his leisure time on the boat diving and spearfishing, and for obvious reasons, he was going to make sure to include certain features that would come in handy for these dive outings.
I fish a lot, but I prefer to dive. You know, diving is my thing, so I don't really need, you know, a lot of the stuff the other guys need. You know, I've got plenty of storage on the boat, fish boxes, big cooler up in the bow, huge anchor locker. I mean, I can put 2 or 3 polyballs in the anchor locker. I've got 400 feet of road in it. So I wanted a full flotation bracket that might add, you know, maybe a little running surface or something. But having the platform there for diving and just hanging out at the sandbar on it, or, you know, even if I got to step back there when I'm fighting a fish around the motor, it's just, I love bracket boats, and I think they're really hard to beat. I ended up buying a used F250 4-stroke, and as of right now, I am loving the single engine. It gets great fuel economy. I mean, I'm getting 3.5 miles a gallon at 34 miles an hour.
Initially, Royce had a plan to build a more rugged knockaround style boat. As the build progressed, the addition of items such as a white rub rail and quality stainless hardware, along with the extra attention to the fairing and finish work, resulted in a much more evolved and significantly more polished version of his original design.
You know, it became more of a show of, you know, what I'm capable of. I like to think I really started pouring myself into the build and, you know, what I'm capable of, and just trying to show it off. But at the end of the day, you know, it really came out beautiful. It's actually what I intended, even at 4 years ago when I started the build. And I stuck with the plan I had. I'm really happy I did. The boat's great. I love it. And everything turned out really nice on it. I'm really pleased.
This build, and more specifically, Royce's ability to transform an idea into a completely custom dive boat that's perfect for his needs, should be an inspiration to anyone who might be interested in taking on a resto mod project of their own.
After an initial investment of $400 and spending $30,000 on repairs and custom modifications, the cost of Royce's Dreamboat comes to a total of $30,400. When we return, the professionals at TRB continue work on the CV390Z project. This segment brought to you by Pacer Group, marine-grade electrical wire, components, and systems.
For more than 30 years, Pacer Group has been the most trusted provider of wire, cable, and electrical products to the top marine manufacturers. All of our wire and cable is made in the USA to ensure it's the best in the industry. Pacer Group provides the highest quality electrical products to be found in one place. You can order with us at pacergroup.net. Shop online and ship, or pick up your web order within an hour at our Hollywood, Florida location.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. Join us as the professionals at TRB strive for perfection on the CV390Z overhaul.
For those people who follow Two Rivers Boatworks, as many of you know, about 3 years ago, my wife Kristen and I bought the CV390Z, and we were going to fix it and flip it, and that was kind of the start of our business. But as the business grew, the CV kind of got put on the back burner, and last year we kind of introduced it to the show. But again, we had a lot of business come through, and the CV kind of got pushed to the background again. But a few months ago, I decided that, hey, I'm pushing the CV through the shop. I don't care what comes or doesn't come or whatever. We really need to get the CV done. So we're back on track with the CV. And one of the big things with the CV390Z is I want an absolute perfect paint job. Perhaps a lot of people kind of think, well, oh, that's a little bit of extra polishing or whatever. But the truth is it all comes down to prep. So I kind of had the boat put in hard-boiled and painted and then sanded and then traced probably 3 or 4 times. I really want this boat to have a yacht type finish, and we're going to spend every minute we can paying attention to every little detail to make sure this boat is perfect. While we've got all of this going on with the CV, and it's really exciting and something that I think everybody can't wait to see happen, I've kind of been itching a little bit, and I kind of feel I need a boat. We managed to get the Century that's behind me we're going to be doing a little bit of magic with the boat and just customizing a little bit, adding a little bit of a TRB touch to it. And it's going to allow us to get on the water, maybe do a bit of fishing, a bit of fly fishing. And one of the things with the Century project that I really wanted to showcase was the fact that you can take a really very inexpensive boat and with a little bit of effort, you can turn it into every man's dream boat. Right, we have a boat that you can pick them up for really very little money, a lot less money than buying a new boat too, and you end up with a really custom boat that people kind of look at. Whereas if you just go buy an off-the-shelf boat, well, it's just another one of 100 production boats out there. But you take a boat like this one behind me and put a bit of sea deck down, maybe wrap it or paint it, add some power poles, a trolling motor, some new electronics, and a new outboard motor. All of a sudden, you've got something unique, something that perhaps a little bit of yourself in, and it has a unique personality of its own. And I've often found projects like this, I become very passionate about the little things on the boat, and these older boats end up meaning a lot more to me than a brand new boat with all the bells and whistles, because, you know, I've kind of done it myself.
When we return, Rocky Point Boat Works continues rigging on the 19 Twin V project. This segment brought to you by Armstrong. Experience the Armstrong Advantage.
Do you have the Armstrong Advantage? In its most basic form, an Armstrong outboard bracket improves the efficiency of your outboard motor. This equates to a faster time to plane and higher top speeds. The list of advantages continue with improved maneuverability, added space, and a quieter ride. Adding a swim platform, accompanied by an Armstrong boarding ladder, will certainly add to your day out on the water. Isn't it time for you to gain the Armstrong Advantage?
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. Join us as the experts at Rocky Point Boat Works install a new bow-mounted trolling motor on the Twin V project.
All right, so here at Rocky Point Boat Works, we've been working on this Twin V project. It's coming along real nice. We got the new Yamaha F-115 hung, got the steering all put on, plumbed, bled, working good. We went ahead and wired it, used all our pacer wire, connectors, all that stuff, batteries in the boat. One thing the customer also wanted was a really nice trolling motor, so we went ahead and ordered up a Minn Kota trolling motor, 80-pound thrust, and so we're gonna go ahead and get that baby installed today so he can get out in the water and get close to the docks and hopefully catch some fish and have a real nice dinner. We went ahead and brought our Minn Kota box out and started unboxing it, and I soon learned it was boxed very well. Don't film this. I'm getting a razor knife. Once we got it out, looked over the instructions a little bit, we went ahead and put it up on the bow of the boat. We put our quick release mount on there by Minn Kota. It's a piece of starboard. They got it all cut out, integrated. Got a puck that stays on the boat permanently. And then the other plate mounts to the Minn Kota trolling motor. So when you do get this, you're gonna have to take your sides off. It's a real nice feature. Like I said, it's all built in, integrated. You don't need anything special. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3. So when we were trying to choose our mounting point for this trolling motor, you don't want the trolling motor to be in the deck space, you know, possibly when it's not deployed. You don't want it to be in the way when it comes to docking, things like that. And then obviously when it comes to deploying the unit, you don't want it to hit the rub rail, rub hard on that or anything like that. But just use common sense, follow the instructions, and you should be just fine. So once we determined where we want to mount this trolling motor on the bow of the boat, we went ahead and marked our area and we laid out our spot to mount the puck. So once we get our puck up there, all bolted down, we want to go ahead and reinstall the trolling motor, double check that we got this thing in the right position and that it deploys easily and clear of obstructions and free movement, all that kind of stuff. There she blows like a hump on a snow hill. It's Minn Kota Tararova. How do you say that? Tararova? So after we get the trolling motor up, it comes down to the electrical side. I noticed that the boat already had a pre-existing plug in there. So I'm thinking, this is great, less work for me. As it would be, it wasn't. The wire they had run up to the plug was a bit oversized, and it's been in there a little bit. And after trimming back some shielding, we noticed the wire's a little cruddy. So there I went to Pacer's website, ordered up some 8-gauge duplex, which comes 2 8-gauge wires in there, positive and negative. Ordered up the correct footage I needed, and went ahead and moved forward. Got everything new in there, so everything's gonna operate real nice. So we got our wire pulled up to the console. This trolling motor happens to be 24 volts. So we wanna go ahead and create a series circuit. So we're gonna take 2 12-volt batteries, tie them together. You're gonna take the positive to the negative of the opposite battery. And then from there, you're gonna take your negative and your positive that are left over coming out will make 24 volts. From our plug, you have your positive and negative. They're gonna come into the console. So when they come into the console, you're gonna take your positive lead from the plug, and it's gonna go to the output side of your resettable breaker. From the input side of the breaker, that will go to the one side, positive side of your battery system that you just did, the series system. Then your negative is just gonna go directly to the opposite battery. And then your circuit's complete. You got 24 volts. So the customer's provided me with a Minn Kota charger. There's a 3-bank charger system is what we're using because we have 3 batteries. You might say, oh, but you have a 24-volt system. Doesn't matter. You take your lead, positive, negative, put them on the battery, same on the other one. As long as you do it that way, it's still a 12-volt system because they're not in series at this time. Very simple, very easy. However, it is also important when you're setting up your battery charger that you select the correct battery setting. Everything's on there, and this is a push-button system, so it's real easy. Select it, lights will flash, it'll highlight the battery selection that you need. It's gonna go ahead and take care of the charging, bring the batteries back up to the voltage they need, and he'll be ready to go out the next day and hopefully catch some fish. So there's a heading sensor that comes with this unit as well. I went ahead and made a custom bracket to fit it inside the console because we're dealing with limited amount of fiberglass and metal surrounding to block any kind of signal to the trolling motor. Some people put them up on their consoles. In our case, we're putting really nice C-deck down, and we just didn't want to see it. So I'm super excited about all this new technology. Once we got our heading sensor all installed, we're happy with it. We're gonna have to go ahead and pair it up with the unit, check the operation of the remote, and the most important thing at this point is to get this boat in the water, man. I mean, this thing is ready for the water. We want to go out and try all these cool features, spot lock, bump up to the dock nice, you know, using our remote. This is going to be so cool, you know, and I cannot wait to get on the water and try it out.
Next week on Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. The craftsmen at Stewart and Isla Mirada Boatworks put their all-new skiff to the test in skinny water. Rocky Point Boatworks takes on performing some very custom work on a classic 20-foot Seacraft. George Labonte joins Ken Sandow aboard his custom 28 Pursuit. And Dave at Rocky Point shows how to perfectly perform maintenance on a Yamaha outboard.